From the independent producer project of KCRW, this is Here Be Monsters.
The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest kind of fear is fear of the unknown. That's a quote from the author Howard Phillips Lovecraft. Now, I discovered the writing of H.P. Lovecraft fairly recently, and I immediately fell in love with his horrible and beautiful monsters. He invented them about 100 years ago, during his short and reclusive life in the American Northeast. There, he filled entire fictional worlds with dark and secret rituals, elixirs of life, messages from outer space. But Lovecraft also filled those worlds with his intense xenophobia and straight-up racism that was directed at just about everyone who didn't share his English lineage. Like many other modern fans, I've had to couch my love for his work inside layers upon layers of wariness. And so recently, I was talking with someone who knows just a little bit about Lovecraft. His name is Eric Molinsky. Eric is the host of another podcast. It's called Imaginary Worlds, and it's about imaginary worlds, these fictional places that we humans make up for our own entertainment. And Eric's show does something really unique that I love. He'll often bounce between the real and the unreal worlds. And he does this to explain how these fictional places are often used as testing grounds for new ideas. He explains why they matter to us humans who live in the real world. So for this episode, I asked Eric to see what he could find out about H.P. Lovecraft's most known creation, an ocean-dwelling, multi-tentacled monster that is entirely omnipotent but fails to care for humanity. Cthulhu.
The figure was a monster of vaguely anthropoid outline, but with an octopus-like head whose face was a mass of feelers, a scaly, rubbery-looking body, prodigious claws on hind and forefeet, and long, narrow wings behind.
Here Be Monsters, the podcast about...
He's here, in the waters.
The podcast about...
the unknown.
When it comes to monsters, there is one that I have been fascinated by for a really long time. It's called Cthulhu. This is a monster of almost unimaginable scale, millions of years old, that supposedly is sleeping most of the time at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. And if he's ever to rise, that could be the end of the world. Cthulhu is all over pop culture. You can find him in role-playing games, video games. He was even on South Park. But he was originally created by Howard Phillips Lovecraft. He was a recluse in Providence, Rhode Island, a genius, and an unrepentant racist and xenophobe. But a lot of people who find his personal views abhorrent still have a lot of affection towards him as a writer and his signature monster, Cthulhu. I've always wondered why, and particularly how somebody who had such a boundless imagination could be so close-minded when it came to people in the real world.
My name's Sheldon Solomon. I'm an experimental social psychologist at Skidmore College in Saratoga Springs, New York.
Sheldon Solomon and a group of other psychologists coined a term called terror management theory, which might explain the paradox of H.P. Lovecraft. So when we first started talking, you said you hadn't read any Lovecraft.
Yes.
He is somebody who lived in a constant state of terror. Did you think about these theories when reading him?
Yes, and I still am finding his work just haunting.
And what were your thoughts on Cthulhu?
Yeah, my thoughts are that it is very typical. We call it terror focalization, that it gives us some concrete and embodied entity upon which to project our death fears. The primary function of culture is to mitigate death anxiety by giving us each a sense that we live in a meaningful world, and that as individuals in that world, that we are uniquely valuable and significant. And therefore, whenever we're reminded of our mortality, that instigates a host of defensive reactions that we use to restore confidence in our culture and confidence in our worthiness as individuals.
Did you then go ahead and decide, I want to test this with studies?
We've done hundreds of experiments. Sometimes we bring people into the lab and we have them read things on the computer. And while they're doing that, unbeknownst to them, we flash the word death so fast, 28 milliseconds, that you don't even know that you've seen anything.
In one study, they brought in judges and asked them to set bail for a fictional prostitute. The judges that were prompted to think about death set a bail that was many, many times higher. People reminded of death suddenly had very intolerant views of other racial and religious groups. They even agreed with the proposition that we should bomb other countries. And then they flipped the script, and they asked people whether they wanted to be famous or have a star named after them in the Milky Way. The group prompted by the word death embraced those ideas.
You know, you may not be here forever, and I may not be here forever, but I'm comforted by the proposition that some vestige of my existence will persist over time nonetheless. So perhaps in the form of having children, perhaps in the form of amassing great fortunes and spraying my name all over buildings, airplanes, and casinos. It could be by producing a great work of art or science.
There was a secret which even torture could not extract. Mankind was not absolutely alone among the conscious things of earth, for shapes came out of the dark to visit the faithful few. But these were not the great old ones. The chanted ritual was not the secret. That was never spoken aloud, only whispered. In his house at Rilia, dead Cthulhu waits dreaming.
So recently, I was also in Red Hook, which is an old industrial neighborhood on the western edge of Brooklyn. The subways never ran there. The docks are decaying, factories are rusting. It's got a spooky vibe. But like a lot of Brooklyn, it's gentrifying. There's actually an IKEA there now. And I came across this really weird little shop called Lovecraft. 2 separate words, Lovecraft. They sell handcrafted merchandise of Cthulhu. Stores filled with mugs, t-shirts, hats, slippers, bobbleheads, all making that big green creature with floppy tentacles in his mouth and bat wings look kind of cute. I had to check it out, and I talked to the owner.
Hi.
I'm Roberta Sudam.
How do you spell your name? I just have to...
Suydam. Sudam. It's Dutch.
Oh.
You know, I've been here for hundreds of years. My family's been in Brooklyn for hundreds of years.
Oh,
Yeah.
You're New York Dutch. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
So obviously, I mean, you must have read a lot of Lovecraft as a kid.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it was like my Bible, you know. Yeah.
Really?
Lovecraft, yeah, he was, he's deep, you know. He was
Right.
deep. I've always been a deep person.
The way that Cthulhu is described by Lovecraft, he's really kind of this gross-looking monster. You know, he's got these like tentacles in his
Yeah.
face and these bat wings, and he's like scaly and
Yeah.
or not scaly, but he's aquatic and he's gigantic and But then like everything here is cute. Like it's these cute Cthulhu stuff.
I mean, would you give a friend a T-shirt with a disgusting-looking monster on it?
Right? No.
No, it's to honor it and to soothe ourselves. You know, soothing.
But I mean, he's not real though. I mean, Lovecraft invented him.
Cthulhu is real. He's rising. He's here in the waters. Let me show you something. See if I can find this. Here we go. This is the Far Rockaways.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That is a
right there.
picture of like a. I guess it's in the water, so it's taken from a boat. It's like a cell phone picture, basically, of some kind of hump. Like it's the tip of a dome, like a dark dome in the water. That could be. I mean, I don't know about anything, but it could. I mean, I'm sure there's a very mundane explanation for that.
Okay. Cthulhu is bigger than anything you can imagine. The universe, everything. The universe is expanding, and it's going to turn into dust. It's going to go away. And we will go away with it. And there'll be no Shakespeare in a space capsule. There'll be no aliens are coming down and going to find a toenail and clone us. That's it. We're done. Done. Cthulhu is that knowledge. That's why you can't get too close to it. Because if you do, you lose it. You know? That's all I'm saying. Think about it. Okay. Excuse me.
Sure.
Sorry.
Okay. No.
Okay.
That's fine. Thank you very much.
Good luck to you, Eric.
Thanks.
Hi, can I help you?
God, after that conversation, I felt kind of disturbed. I went online and I discovered that there's actually a lot of people selling Cthulhu merchandise. Some of them are doing it as a joke, but a lot of them seem to be true believers just like her, using irony to control their fear. I just started wondering, are these people crazy or am I losing it? I even got some binoculars and I went down to the Far Rockaways and stood on the beach to see if I could spot anything. Okay, it is Sunday. It's March 6th. I guess what I'm seeing right now is it's kind of like a flat space where the waves aren't there, like they're not rustling. It's just sort of like flat, and it looks like it's black from here. But I mean, that could be anything. I mean, that could. It's just stupid. I'm freezing.
Cthulhu still lives too, I suppose. His accursed city is sunken once more, for the Vigilant sailed over the spot after the April storm. But his ministers on earth still bellow and prance and slay around idol-capped monoliths in lonely places. He must have been trapped by the sinking, whilst within his black abyss, or else the world would by now be screaming with fright and frenzy. Who knows the end? What has risen may sink, and what has sunk may rise.
I decided to contact George Angel. He is a professor at Brown University who oversees H.P. Lovecraft's archives, or what they call the Vault. We emailed back and forth. It's a little strange because it actually felt like he was vetting me, and he insisted that I go up to see him in person. Now, I was heading to Boston anyway to visit my family, and Amtrak goes through Providence, so I figured why not.
Sorry to make you walk all this way. It's just a bit longer.
Wow. I guess I should describe what's going on here. We're in an underground lab, deep underground, and Professor Angel is opening a drawer and bringing out... Is that a brain? Is that like a real brain?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. And there's like wires coming out of it, like electrodes coming out of it or something?
That's right.
Wait, why? What is this?
I figured you probably want to talk to the man himself. This is a brain-computer interface and text-to-speech software. And this is Howard.
Howard Lovecraft?
That's right. It doesn't take long for him to warm up.
Hello, Professor.
We have a guest who would like to speak to you. This is Eric Molinsky.
Tell me, what is the derivation of the name Molinsky?
Speaking to the microphone.
Hold on. This is amazing. How does the world not know about this?
Well, it's difficult. Out of context, there are certain aspects of Howard's personality deeply embedded into his brain that are repugnant.
Professor?
But he's such a valuable resource. I can't keep him locked up forever.
I beg your pardon. May I ask you again, what is the derivation of the name Molinsky?
Talk to Howard. He gets uncomfortable if he's on for too long. He overheats.
Okay, where? Right here?
Just speak right into there.
Professor?
Hello, Howard.
Hello.
Molinsky is Ukrainian for Miller.
You are Aryan stock.
No, I'm Jewish.
The Jews are humorless and emotionally overdeveloped ethical fanatics.
Wow.
The Judeo-feminization of the Aryan male has proven to be a mortal blow to our
No,
society.
it's okay. No, it's. I mean, I've read about him. I know about. Yeah. Howard,
Yes,
was it your plan to live on like this?
except for the wires in my cerebellum, partially. I spent many years contemplating the unimaginative horror of death, a blackness beyond all human conception. I had become a quivering neurotic, until I began to imagine eternal life without the burden of rotting muscles, bones, and flesh.
See, it is Howard.
So, but I mean, what does he know about the world? Does he know about society has changed?
Professor Angel has informed me about the opiates of your time. Television, the socialization of media. Why do you think people distract themselves until they have neither the focus nor concentration to see the horror waiting for them? Civilization is but a slight coverlet beneath which the dominant beast sleeps lightly and ever ready to awake. As the warm oceans rise, they will swallow up the great energy-expending cities of the world. Cthulhu rises with them.
You didn't invent Cthulhu. He's real.
All right, Howard. I think we're down here for now. Thank you.
No. I just started talking to
Companion
him.
of night, anomalous horror, baying of dogs, forbidden dimension.
Just degrades from there. It just breaks down in fragments.
I have more questions. Like, I want to talk about terror management.
That night, I had insane nightmares. I woke up in a cold sweat. When I got back to New York, I just couldn't stop thinking about what might be rising out there off the edge of Long Island. So, I rented a boat, and I headed towards that dome in the water.
Oh my God, it's windy. It's really windy. I'm in kind of like this no man's land now between New York and New Jersey. Okay, I think I see something now. Okay, I'm drifting towards it. Oh my God. It's sort of a dome. It's kind of a big dome. It's kind of grayish green. Sort of a weird feedback on my recorder. I feel cold. I feel like we live in this placid island of ignorance in the middle of black seas of infinity, and it was not meant that we should voyage this far. No. People are doing this all the time now.
where they're sending their phones into space. You know, like I've seen the videos online, and they always, I mean, they come back down, but they don't have to. I mean, they can, you know, the phone can just keep drifting and drifting and drifting, and then maybe you could just get caught like Voyager, you know, get caught with some alien spacecraft. And then they could take it to like a parallel universe, or like a pocket universe, or a baby universe, and then my voice could live on. My voice could live on forever. Where the hell am I? Ow! I don't remember rowing back to shore. And I didn't even row back to the far Rockaways. I rowed all the way back to Red Hook, just a few blocks away from Roberta's store.
You're back.
Hi, yeah. Could you open the display case?
Yeah.
And I bought a Cthulhu bobblehead. And a t-shirt. And some slippers.
Well, this episode of Here Be Monsters was written by Eric Molinsky. Eric hosts a fantastic podcast called Imaginary Worlds. Check it out and subscribe at imaginaryworldspodcast.org. This episode was edited by me, Jeff Entman, along with help from Bethany Denton and Nick White. And in case you haven't figured it out by now, what you heard in this episode was, well, it was imaginary. It was a radio drama, our first one in fact, and we hope to keep making fictional pieces in the future. But just to make things clear, we will also always let you know when we're deceiving you. Maybe not up front in the episode, but always at least here in the credits. So again, everything you heard was fake, except for Sheldon Solomon, who is a real-life professor at Skidmore. We have links to his real research about terror management theory on our website, HBM059.com. Also on our website, we have H.P. Lovecraft's passport photos, links to real stores that sell Cthulhu plushies, and a picture from Google Maps of two strange-looking domes in the water off the shore of Rockaway Point. Again, we're at hbmpodcast.com. So you heard some voice actors in this episode. You heard Anne Scobie, who played Roberta. You heard Dan Truman as Professor Angel, and you heard Bill Lobley, who played both the narrator and the reanimated brain of Lovecraft. The music you heard on this episode came from just one artist, Sarocell. You can find more of his work on his website, which is unclassedmedia.com, or on our website, where we have links to all of our musicians that we use on the show. Our next episode is episode number 60, and it'll be a very big episode for us. It's the result of over 6 months of research and reporting, and it's going to be very different from this episode. But we're going to need just a little bit of extra time to get it ready, so look for it in late April. But before then, we're going to release a little audio trailer for it here on the HBM feed, and it will give you a better idea of what's coming up on that episode. Episode 60 will also be the last episode of Season 4, and for the first time ever, we're going to have a little season wrap party here in Seattle. So if you're nearby and you'd like to come, just let us know on Facebook. We have an event set up. Well, Here Be Monsters is a part of the independent producer project of KCRW. Thanks for listening. More episodes soon.